like me, you're suffering from women's hair loss and you're curious about lasers, Nioxin, PRP, and Dermarolling, well, honey, stay tuned. This video is for you. I'm gonna talk about why I don't use these and a little about what these are, and they all tend to be expensive. So let's dig into it. Let's start off by talking about Dermarolling, also known as microneedling. This is one of the most frequent questions that I get. And speaking of which, if you guys have questions for me, you're welcome to drop them below in the description box. I will answer them. And you can also connect with me over on Instagram where people DM me their questions that they don't want the whole world to see. You're welcome to do that. Dermarolling / microneedling. The first thing to note is that the one that you use for your face versus the one that you'll use for your scalp are different because the needle sizes are different for both of them. Like, I believe the facial ones and ones for your skin are a smaller needle size compared to the ones that you would be using in your scalp. The reason that I don't use them is, have you looked at one of these? It is needles on like a wheel, a lot of needles on a wheel. And I took one look at that and I was like, that's not for me. Quite as simple as that. I am just kind of a wuss. Let me tell you, I am a cancer patient. I have been stuck with needles in places you probably don't even think you can put a needle. So I've had a lot of poking and pinching and I've been used as a pincushion, trust me. But was I gonna inflict this on myself? Absolutely not. That is basically the bottom line. I'm not saying I would never use one. I'm just saying that the whole idea of it does not appeal to me and I kind of get queasy even when I look at it. There's just too many things poking out of it. It looks like a medieval torture device to me. Whether it works or not, you know, there are doctors here on YouTube that say it does. You know, there is the YouTube channel, I think that is called The Hair Loss Show. And the doctor who does the most of the videos there, he has one on dermarolling. So you should check that out to just see his advice on how to use it or not. But it is just not for me. It just isn't. I am just like, no. There are just some things I will not do at home. And poking my scalp full of needles that look prickly and painful, it's just not one of the things I'm gonna do. I draw the line at like using Rogaine and minoxidil, but you will not catch me using a Dermaroller unless I find that I have to or a doctor suggests that I do it. That has not happened to me yet, so that is why I do not go for it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm just saying that is not for me. Let's talk now about low-level laser treatment. This is typically the kind of laser treatment you can do at home, typically with a cap or a comb. Probably the most famous cap that you see, sort of full-size helmet thing that you see is the iRestore line. I've never used it, and my main reason for not using it is just that the evidence has not really convinced me. And I don't just mean the scientific evidence, but also just the evidence I hear from a lot of other women who contact me about it. Some say it's okay, and I've read from a lot of women that it didn't really help them at all. And you know, if this was a $100 product, would I buy it? Perhaps I would, but to get the professional level one, which is supposed to be the good one because it gives you the most coverage, it is over $1,000. What? I have not got that kind of money. That is the bottom line about why I don't use this. The iRestore full coverage cap actually is promoted, oddly enough, by our FAVE dermatologist online, Dr. Dre. If you actually go to the iRestore website, they've either probably with her permission used a clip that they put on their website where she talks about how she prefers this one for her patients. I just haven't been super impressed with even the before and after that I saw on their site. I'm not saying it's bad, but for me, it looks comparable to the result I got with just using Rogaine and minoxidil. And the bottom line is that I never really felt I had to step it up. I used the pharmaceuticals, which was topical, something I could just put on my head, quite inexpensive. So we'll talk about that a bit later on. So stick around to the end of this video. And I just had a really good result. So I just didn't really see why I would want to level up to using a really expensive laser helmet product. So no, it's a no for me, dog. The other product I get asked about as well is a laser comb, and some women say that they've been prescribed to use, not prescribed, but told that they should use this from their doctor, usually in combination with actual pharmaceuticals like minoxidil or Rogaine /Rogaine. Rogaine is the brand name of minoxidil. Spironolactone, I think, is one of the prescription oral pills that women are prescribed to take. That's not something I take. Not that I'm against it, I just don't seem to need it. The advantage of the laser comb, from what I can tell, is just much less expensive. I guess theoretically it's delivering the same laser /LED, which is kind of weird. Like, what is an LED light gonna do? I don't really know. I'm not a scientist to be able to dig into it, but I'm just not coming away super convinced about these products. But I'm not trying to say that you should or shouldn't use them. If your doctor's told you to use it, then by all means, go right ahead. Just for me, price is a super prohibiting factor. Even with the laser comb being like $100, I don't know, like I just haven't messed with it yet, basically is what it comes down to. So I just want to take a brief pause here to say if you would like this video and subscribe, consider subscribing to my channel. That would mean so much to me. It helps to support me here and lets me know that you like the content that I'm making, and also you also will be getting some great new content that I'm always making specifically about hair care and hair loss. And also be sure to check out these 2 other videos I made that you might like. One of them is called Foods for Hair Growth. So I go into that and I sort of unpick and talk about some nutrition sort of facts, myths, that sort of thing. So check that video out, and I will be sure to link that above and also down in the description box. And also I've got a video about hair loss mistakes that all women make their first year of noticing that they have hair loss. So if that applies to you, you'll want to watch that video as well. And so without any further, let's just get into the rest of the content. Let's start talking a bit about supplements. Nutrafol is one that I've heard a lot of women talk to me about and ask me about. Their doctors tell them to use it. What that is, what Nutrafol is just a supplement. You don't need a prescription for it. It's something you can order online. It will be shipped to you. It's expensive though. And that is the thing with a lot of these supplements. Viviscal makes supplements too that a lot of women like, and that is a pricey product as well. People, what this comes down, the reason I don't use these mostly is I am a price sensitive gal. I don't have tons of money and I just want to stick to the things that I think and I know that work. And once something starts working for me, I don't necessarily feel the need to start piling on with all sorts of different things, but I do take supplements. I just don't take a branded one like Viviscal or like Nutrafol. I just follow what my doctor says. You know, she gives me blood tests and she tells me what I'm missing and what to take. So in my case right now, that is like vitamin B12 supplements. Vitamin D, because I live in frosty Canada where there is no sun half of the year. So I definitely need extra vitamin D to get me through the doldrums of winter. And I also take biotin, and none of these are expensive. I don't take any sort of prestige type products. I just get them from the pharmacy and I use what my doctor says. For vitamin D, she tells me to take drops. For B12, I take the ones that dissolve in your mouth rather than the actual pills. And biotin, I take the gummies, just because I got these big gummies at Costco, and so I enjoy taking them. Do they help on the whole? I really hope so. But I will say I have heard people talk about Nutrafol and that they like it, but the one that I hear women talking about more, saying that it did make a difference, oddly enough, is Viviscal. And if you've watched a number of other YouTubers here, you will say a number of them say that they like the Viviscal supplements and they did feel like that made a difference. And so again, I'm not telling you to take these or not take these or to go against your doctor's orders. Do not do that. Do not take your medical advice from YouTubers such as myself. I say this a lot and honestly, it is true. Listen to your doctor. If they're telling you to take Nutrafol, maybe there's a reason for it. They know about more synergies and things than I do. I'm not pretending to be the expert on supplements here. I just follow what my doctor says, and she probably knows that I'm a cheapskate, so I'm not going to be spending like $70 plus on supplements a month. That's just not, it's just not for me. I'm not saying I wouldn't try it if it gets sent to me. And I'm not promising I'll never make a video about these, because if they get sent to me, I probably will try them. So I'm just saying that I just haven't got the money for that. That's what I'm saying. So now let's talk about shampoo. This is something that I love. I love a fancy shampoo. What I get asked about specifically often though is Nioxin. Do I use Nioxin? Do I like it? Does it work? I've never used Nioxin. I have used thickening shampoos. I've used Viviscal's thickening shampoo and probably all of the drugstore thickening shampoos, and I don't have an issue with them except that I find them a little bit on the drying side. So I skip them and I go for a more hydrating formula. As you guys know, my holy grail is Kerastase shampoo. For me, they can do no wrong. Their products are so nice and they smell great. There are a lot of other great products out there. I just don't feel the need to specifically buy Nioxin. And from what I understand, the science behind it is that it's kind of flimsy for these thinning anti-hair loss type shampoos. Shampoo needs to stay on your hair to be effective in hair loss for 7 minutes. I have never had shampoo on my head really for 7 minutes, so it's just not gonna happen for me. So I just don't put a lot of faith in anti-thinning and anti-hair loss shampoos. I think the more important thing is to actually wash your hair. That certainly has been the advice that I've got from really reputable sources. And also just, again, like the hair loss show, there is a doctor who specializes in hair loss treatments, and he says, again, the 7-minute rule, and that he too does not place much faith in different types of anti-hair loss shampoos. So I just take my cue from that and I just buy the shampoo that I like, and then I feel leaves my hair looking really, really good. You know, there is the Aveda Invati line that's also for dealing with sort of hair loss issues. I've never tried that. And even Kerastase, my very favorite, has one called Specifique. They've got a particular line, or if you're a French Canadian, that would be Specifique, Monesty, Tabernac. That was a little inside joke for you Quebecers. I don't use any of these. Again, it's just a cost effectiveness thing. I'm not saying if they were sent to me, I wouldn't use them. I totally would. That's extra money that I just don't want to spend on a product that I really don't think is going to work when I just really love the shampoo and the routine that I've got going for myself right now. So that's sort of the bottom line with that. Shampoos, go for it. If you have luck and you have certain ones you love, let me know down below. But for me, it's just, I just don't bother. Okay, moving on to PRP, which is Platelet Rich Plasma treatments. So what happens with this is that you get your blood drawn out of your arm, just like as if you're getting your blood panel done from your doctor. So you get that taken out of your arm, and then the treating physician spins it in a centrifuge. So they spin that up and they separate the platelet rich plasma that gets put into, I've never had this done, but that gets put into a needle, and the needle gets injected into thinning spots and areas in your scalp where you need to fill in that hair. This is probably the treatment that I would be the most likely to try. And of course, it is the most expensive treatment. I was looking it up on Healthline, which is a website where it has been reviewed by an actual medical doctor. And I think it said let me see if I can find that. I think it said the treatment was from $1,500 to $3,000, somewhere in that range. And that is a lot of money, once again. If I was going to the dermatologist and I had $1,000 to spend, I'm finding my hair looks okay. Where I might be more likely to spend that money is on Botox. I had Botox done one time in my late 30s and I loved it. I look so good. Seriously, if I were going to a dermatologist, I would probably pick up the Botox before I would the PRP, because supposedly, and from what I hear from other women who talk about this, I belong to a support group on Facebook, is that for some women it works really well, and for some women it doesn't really work well at all. It is definitely not like a super duper reliable treatment. And for me, always the path of least resistance is going to be the path that I choose. So am I going to haul myself to a doctor's office to get this expensive treatment and it might not work? No. Am I saying I'll never do it? Once again, no. Am I saying you shouldn't do it? Once again, no. Listen to the advice of your dermatologist if they think that's a good idea for you and they have clinical experience saying that they've had a lot of really good results. Go for it. And also, this is sort of an emerging treatment. They've been using PRP, I believe, in joints, and I think that they use them in facials. They've been doing that for a while now with good results. And so I think the hair loss treatment, PRP, is a little later coming online. So hopefully we see better results with that as people get better at doing it. You know, the nature of this particular treatment is that I think it is done a little bit differently by different doctors, and that if you research that on YouTube, you'll probably see that borne out by the different types of videos and physicians you see talking about how they administer it in their clinics. For me, it's just not for me right now, just mostly because I just really don't want to have to go to the dermatologist for a bunch of different shots. You know, I'm not saying I'll never do it, just right now, I don't. So that's sort of that. That covers the sort of treatments that I wanted to talk about, and also just wanted to say now, mostly you'll see from what I said here is that I don't tend to go for these because mostly they're cost prohibitive. Hair loss is one of these areas where people will greedily, easily, readily take your money, and I am just not about that life, basically. I don't have thousands of dollars and I'm not that desperate. I'm pretty realistic about who I am right now in life, which is I am a postmenopausal woman. I went through early menopause because of the treatments given to me for breast cancer because I have a hormone sensitive type of breast cancer. So I am put into menopause for that. And so my hair is gonna be thinner. I am a postmenopausal woman and I kind of accept that about myself. I'm pretty happy with the gains that I just got from minoxidil, Rogaine, from looking after my supplements, from trying to eat pretty well, but definitely not perfectly. Check out that video that I mentioned. Rogaine and minoxidil and my supplements are cheap. Probably, you know, if I'm just sticking to generic minoxidil plus my supplements, it's probably $80 for the year. Not a single one of these, except for the Dermaroller, is that price. Like that is what you pay per month, if not multiples of that, if you amortize these different products. So that's why I just stick with what works, what's working for me. I'm realistic, and you know, sometimes you just gotta know when good, like when enough is enough. And when you're just happy enough with things, you don't always need to be reaching for perfection when it comes to your appearance. And so I'm pretty happy. I think my hair looks really nice right now. I'm super happy with it. I've learned a lot. I share a lot here, which I hope is helpful for all of you out there. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say about why I don't use these treatments. If you have any more questions, drop them below. Contact me on Instagram. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much for giving me your valuable time and watching this. And we'll see you soon.